Hi, everyone. This short practice brings awareness to the muscles in the body that support and strengthen the low back. 2 blocks, a blanket, and a mat are helpful props. Let's begin lying on our backs. So take your time to lay out your blanket in a way that will feel most supportive for you along your spine. I have mine pretty flat, and then I'm bringing my spine to mat. Adjust yourself so the edges of the blanket feel good on your back. We'll start with bent knee, walking the feet in a bit towards the pelvis and having the arms alongside the body. And then toe heeling the feet to the edge of the yoga mat. We'll drop the knees together. We'll find a few moments here to check in with the mind, check in with the body. I place my hands on my low belly just to begin to feel the breath move through. Allowing some space to cultivate this interoceptive sense. What is happening in the interior landscape of the body? How are you feeling in this moment? And it's from that space that we move forward in the practice, hopefully with gentleness and care. You may want to take a wider, deeper, fuller breath and begin to move the arms, stretch them overhead. And as you lower the arms, you can walk the feet back in line with the hips and the knees, and we'll bring one knee up, and then we'll bring the other knee up. So each hand will find the knee, and then just begin to rock from side to side, bringing in some movement to the back body. Find this middle place, and then release through the left foot. Interlace the hands and hold on to that right knee for a round of breath or two. You can draw this right knee, right thigh in towards the side body. And then we'll switch that out. Just using the weight of the hands on the knee to draw this left thigh in towards the side body. And then releasing there. We'll bring both feet up, the bent knee position, arms alongside. Having the soles of the feet face one of the walls in your space. And we'll tap down each toe, so alternating sides. Just a few taps. Create a bit of buoyancy in this movement through the knees and through the hips. And whatever leg is lifted, you may want to extend that leg a bit so the sole of the foot is facing the ceiling. Just moving right to left here. I'm moving relatively quickly, so you may not. Just adjust the pace accordingly. And then coming back to that middle place, you may want to circle around through the ankles, point and flex the toes. And then bringing both feet down. Hopefully you have a block within reach. I'm just going to take one of my blocks and then place the block between the thighs. So I'm squeezing the block, walking my feet in towards my pelvis, and then becoming aware of the tilt of my pelvis. So having the low back curve press down towards the mat is the place where you want to find a lift from. So just that firm connection of low back to the mat, into the floor, and into the earth. You can begin to press in through the feet and then lift the pelvis up and then lower. So as you lift, you're squeezing the block and then lowering. So I haven't even counted. I'm thinking we'll do about 5 to 10 here. And then if you would like, you can add the arms in. Arms may reach up towards the ceiling and then overhead. You may even pause in the lift. And then lower the arms as the pelvis comes down. And then we'll continue to alternate with the arms, lifting and lowering. Coming up into this bridge press, but activating through the inner thighs. And the back body gets a squeeze. I'm doing a loose count of 5 to 10. I think I'm almost there. And then the next time we find that lift, maybe linger for a moment, and then slowly lowering the arms as you lower the pelvis. And before you remove the block, just take a moment to lift both feet up, continuing to squeeze the block, and then extend the legs up towards the ceiling. You may want to move around a little bit just to find a place that feels comfortable on the pelvis, and then rotate the toes towards your head. So we'll hold here for a moment, just with legs lifted. The next option will be to slowly lower the legs down towards the mat, towards the floor. You can pause here with the heels down towards the floor, or you can hover and then lift back up. So moving through lifting and lowering. I think I'll only do about 5. I'm on 3 here. This movement is challenging for my body. Maybe 2 more. And then bringing the legs up, bending through the knees, removing the block, and setting it to the side. From here, hands on the knees, and we'll draw the head and neck up, chin to chest, curling into a ball, and then lowering down. We'll do that 2 more times, just lifting up, chin to chest, lowering down, and then 1 more lift up, chin to chest, and then lower down. You may want to pause here with the feet to the mat, reconnect to breath. Slowly bringing arms back down alongside the body, walking the feet in and lifting up both feet. So we're continuing with that knee bend, and now we'll move through extension and flexion. So one leg will extend, come back in, and then the other leg will extend and come back in. So you can continue like this with the low body, or you can add the arms. So the next time the leg is extended, or whichever leg is extended, the opposite arm will lift. So just moving through, right to left. Again, this is a loose count of 5 to 10. I feel like I'm pretty close to 10. Add 2 more here. And then coming back to center, hands on the knees, Come into that rocking again from side to side. You may want to have some space next to you. You can drop the knees to one side and then open up the opposite arm. Take your gaze over the shoulder. Bring the knees back up. Switch them to the other side. Take your gaze beyond the opposite shoulder. You may want to alternate the knees in more of a dynamic way, where we're just switching it out from side to side. And then some of you may want to hold here. I'll bring this movement to the middle place. Hands on the knees. And then from here, you may want to roll onto one side and press yourself up, and we'll meet in hands and knees. Otherwise, we'll do a little rock and roll. So I like to bring my hands underneath my knees and just create a little momentum to push myself up and then back. Great way to get the feet above the head here. It's playful. Feels good on my spine. And maybe one more. And we'll meet in hands and knees. So this blanket that I have folded, I'm going to fold it one more time, just so I have some extra support for my knees. And on hands and knees pose, you may choose to bring your palms to your mat and then just rock forward and back. I enjoy using the blocks for encouraging grip strength and also giving my body a little bit of space. So just hinging forward and back here. You may want to draw some circles with the hips, one direction and then the other. Finding that middle place. Tucking the pelvis, finding flexion through the spine or rounding through the spine, chin to chest. Shift and sway, right to left. Rotating the pelvis down towards the mat, towards the floor, adjusting the shoulders along the spine and lifting your gaze into an extension, and then tucking again into flexion. So some of us know this as cat-cow. Just awakening the spine with breath as it moves through your body. Then we'll find center. We'll curl the toes under here and shift the weight slightly back. I'm squeezing the edges of my block. I have the block on a medium height here. And as I push my feet into the mat, I'm going to push my hands into the blocks and then hover the knees. This is a nice way to get into a squat. So just creating a little bit of buoyancy. I'm going to walk my blocks back just a little bit. Lingering in the squat. Coming back again. And then I'll find my knees back down. And then just moving the blocks out for a moment. And I've been doing this next to move for about a year or so. And it's fun to create a little bit of buoyancy with it. So we're bringing the nose to the mat. So hands can be on either side here of the mat, just beyond the shoulders or around or near the shoulders. And then we'll bend into the elbows, nose to mat, and then push back up. So a couple things to say here. I'm not really worrying about the bend of my elbows extending out to the side. I'm actually enjoying the switch up of allowing the elbows to come out to the side like this, or allowing the elbows to come in alongside the ribs. So whatever feels right in your body. And then I have my toes sort of curled under so I can create a lift if I'd like. So a little bit of a buoyancy. And then pushing my hands into the mat and then bringing them back down. And bringing one hand in front of the shoulder and then alternating. This is great for agility. Nice way to catch yourself and then press back up. Just have a few more here. And then we'll find that middle place. I'm moving my knees a little wider, keeping my toes curled under, and then I'll walk my hands forward in this tented finger position, just to reach through the side body, hang the head. Directing the breath into the back of the heart space. And then bringing the hands back towards the center line of the body, drawing the knees back together as well. And then I'll find my blocks again. Okay, so from here, I'm going to tap down through the tops of my feet. I'll shift the weight into the right side, and I'm going to bring an extension of my left leg out to the side. So I'm planting down through the small toe side of my left foot. And then with my hands and my blocks, I'm walking them closer to me and bringing a bend in that left knee. So just moving in and out here, a gentle side lunge. And then with an extended leg, I'll shift this left block out of the way, but I'll keep my right hand on the block. And then I'll lift up through the left arm, so finding a reach, and then a half thread underneath my right arm. So creating some rotational movement, lifting and lowering with this left arm, stabilizing down through the top of my right foot. A moment to switch that out. Bend into the left knee, slide or drag this left foot back to the right, and then extend right leg out to the side. Begin to bend in and out of that right knee. Side lunge, just creating some movement into the knee and the hip. And then from that straight leg position, small toe side of the right foot pressing down, I'm going to move my right block out to the side, lifting up through my right arm any amount, and then half threading it underneath the left. So again, this rotational movement of the upper part of the body, spine. I'm just following my gaze. I should say I'm following my my right hand with my gaze. So no force to the head and neck. Just allowing it to rotate with the movement. And then releasing here. A few more bends in that right knee. And then we'll slide or drag this right foot back to meet the left. So from this tabletop position, we'll extend through the right leg, curling the right toes under, pressing out through this right heel, and then slowly lift up the right leg. Shift the weight into the right side and see if you have the left arm extending out in front. And just check in with your balance. You can always drop down this right great toe, stabilize, bring in some support into the body. Otherwise, we'll find a few rounds of breath here. And then slowly release. We'll bring this right knee back to left, and then extend the left leg, curl the toes under and press out through this left heel. Find the lift of the left leg, and then see if the right arm will extend out. So I'm shifting my weight into this left hand, into the top of the right foot. My gaze is down just beyond the edge of my mat, connecting to breath. And then as I release my right hand down and then bring my left knee back to the right, I'm going to move right into alternating balancing table. Some of us know this as bird dog. So just switching it out from side to side. Giving the bum a little squeeze on the lift of the leg, the reaching of the arm, and maintaining focus. And allowing the breath to move freely in the body. A few more rounds here. I have that loose 5 to 10 count. I think I'm definitely beyond it. So we'll come down, bringing my knees a little bit wider just to hinge at the hips, and then rest the forearms on the blocks if you have them. Otherwise, you can just fold the forearms and bring the forehead to them. But I enjoy this draping of the hand off the edge of the block for some support underneath the wrists. And shake the head from side to side. And slowly we'll lift the head up. If you're using the blocks, you'll grip the edges of the blocks. We'll bring the knees in. From that tabletop position, we'll curl the toes under. Cover the knees. Work our way up into downward dog. I like these small transitions within the poses. Feel free to walk the feet back, lifting up the hips a little higher. The squeeze of the edge of the block, or if you have your palm down on the mat, you're pressing through the fingertip pads. You can also bend one knee and then the other. And then feel free to come into a hinge movement of high plank, pushing back into your downward dog. And then you'll know what adjustments you need to make as you press back up. Sometimes widening the base of the feet can be very helpful in high plank. So there's that action of pushing out through the heels. If you're using the blocks, you can squeeze the blocks and then push down into the blocks, into the mat, and hinge back. So just a few of these before we transition down onto the belly. You can always work with knees down. I'm just going to bring the knees down to show that, and then walk the hands slightly forward. So when you come forward, the knees are away from the hips. And then I'm going to remove the blocks so I have some space to come all the way down onto my belly. And from here, I'm going to unravel my blanket again. Belly to mat. Take a moment here. Sphinx pose is nice where you can rest into the forearms. Just move around through the hips. You may want to curl the toes under and just lift up through the thighs, pressing out through the heels. And then shifting all the way down, forehead to forearms. Enjoy a few rounds of breath here, belly to mat. And then I'm going to tuck my chin and bring the forehead to the mat and my arms alongside the body. So we'll work our way into locust. Palms are down. And I'll slowly lift up my right leg and then lower it. Lift up my left leg and then lower. This time as I lift up my right leg, I may want to lift up my left arm and then lift the head and neck as well. We'll lower down and then switch out to the other side. So left leg lifts. See if the right arm will lift. Head and neck. Round of breath here. And slowly lower down. Lifting up both legs, any amount. Lifting up both arms, any amount. And then lifting up the head and neck. So I'm breathing in and out, just to create a bit of movement. With the exhale, I'm hovering or lowering down a little bit. And my inhale will lift me up higher. So I'm aiming for 3 to 5 breaths here. I think I'm about there. One more. And then lower down, folding forearms. You may want to turn the head to one side. Finding a softness into the back body. Rotating the head to the other side, bending through the knees. You may want to shift the feet from side to side. Maybe even back and forth. Maybe even drawing circles with the feet on the ceiling. One direction and then the other. Curling the toes under, bringing the hands back towards the shoulders. Feel free to keep the knees down here and push the torso up away from the mat. Hinge back. From here, the knees can be in line with the hips, or you can bring the knees to the width of your mat. We're going to walk the hands to the upper right corner. So again, tented fingers is nice. Just elongates through the upper part of the body, creates some space through the rib cage. Breathing in and breathing out. And then we'll walk the hands over to the other side. And we'll walk the hands to the middle. And then slowly bring ourselves back up. So if you have time in your day to add in rest, I highly encourage it. Lately, I've been using a lot of props to rest. Microphone got away from me there. It wasn't really clicking in now, was it? Lately, I've been using a lot of props for my rest. So if you have a bolster, if you have some extra blankets, you can fold up some blankets for some support in your spine. So I'll set you up here. So if you fold one blanket and then place the bolster on top, that's a great lift. If you have no bolster, then you can just add more blankets. And then blocks are great. If you have time to linger, I would encourage socks and a sweatshirt. I have a blanket. Sometimes it's nice to drape a blanket over you as well. And an eye mask. I've been using this in my practice lately, and I've really been enjoying it. It's so helpful to relax the muscles of the eyes, and we hold so much tension in the forehead and the sides of the head and even in and around the eyebrows and the eyes, that it's nice just to bring something over the eyes to rest all of those muscles. So option to come into lying bound angle or reclined butterfly. This is a really great position here with the blocks you can use to support the outer aspect of the knees and bring the soles of the feet together, and then scoot yourself up towards the blanket and the bolster and drape your spine over it. And then if you have a blanket, lay that over yourself and cover your eyes. Finding even just a few minutes of resting in the physical body can do so much for the mind. Bringing in a sense of calm and peace, perhaps a wholeness into your practice. So finding balance with that effort, and now bringing in some ease. And stay as long as you like.